Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Evo. Welcome back to another day in Destiny 2 for some more Destiny 2 content and Season of Plunder intel. Today I'm going to be going over a Void 3.0 Warlock build that I've been using to clear through these Grandmaster Nightfalls like they're a piece of cake. We're going to be using 3 different types of damage resistance combined with debuff that you grant yourself and a buff that you're giving yourself. Let's jump straight into it. Okay, so the main thing that makes this build work will be the exotic, and the exotic of choice will be Controverse Hold. I will get straight into all of the elemental mods I am using, but the first thing we need to talk about is how to set up your Warlock build inside Void 3.0. The 2 aspects we will need will be Feed the Void and Chaos Accelerant. Feed the Void so that we will be proccing Devour. That means anytime we do get a kill with our Void ability, we will activate Devour. And once you have Devour activated, anytime we get a final blow, it's going to restore our health and extend the duration of Devour. The second Void aspect we need will be Chaos Accelerant, just so that our Vortex Grenade will have a bigger size and a slightly longer duration. Those are the 2 aspects I recommend that you run, even though it'll only grant you 3 fragment slots. And the grenade of choice will be the Vortex Grenade. For the first fragment, we will need Echo over Undermining so that we weaken every single target our grenade touches. The only drawback to this is that it gives you a minus 20% discipline, so you're gonna need to have really good armor to get 100. When I say 100, I mean 100 resilience, which is what you need, and then 100 discipline so you can spam your grenades. But with Echo over Undermining, it gives you minus 20 discipline, so you're gonna have to get really good armor. The second fragment we need will be Echo of Remnant, so that our Vortex Grenade has a longer duration combined with Chaos Accelerant. So we're gonna get an even longer Vortex Grenade, which is really good because it's gonna give us a 15% debuff with Echo of Undermining. The last fragment, I use Echo of Instability just because I know consistently I will be able to defeat my targets with my grenade, my Vortex Grenade. And once you defeat those targets, you're gonna grant your Void Weapon volatile rounds. Now this is important. If you're not running a Void Weapon, then you can swap this build. You can swap this fragment around, but if you are, which I do suggest you use, so think of Lay Monarch, think of your Doom, Scout Rifle, and think of Funnel Web. Those are the 3 weapons I mainly rock on my Warlock just when I'm using this Void 3.0 build, so I can get those volatile rounds. Now if you do decide to swap this out, I do recommend Echo of Obscurity, just because in the latest Nightfall Lightblade, in the Grandmaster Nightfall Lightblade, when you killed some of those bosses, you have to finish their ghosts, and when you're doing those ghost finishers, you can be targeted by a lot of ads, so being able to get invisible while finishing those ghosts really helps out and keeps you alive, so you can give your team more momentum to finish that Grandmaster. So that's one fragment I would swap out if I'm not using a Void Weapon, but if you are using a Void Weapon, then stick with Echo of Instability. Now let me show you guys what weapon combinations I will use and I have used in the past to clear through these GMs. For the latest Nightfall, I did use this exact setup right here with a Horde, with Doom, with a Hothead. The reason why I'm using a Void Weapon is because, like I said, with Echo of Instability, every time you get a kill with your Void Grenade, you're going to grant your Void Weapon volatile rounds, and that works really well with a Scout Rifle. I would swap this out for Funnel Web or Lay Monarch. Those are the 2 weapons I mainly run on my Warlock when you're rocking Void 3.0. With the Horde can be swapped out for right here and like this, and this is the other setup I would run if you need. This is the other setup I run typically when I'm running Void 3.0. For the heavy, you can use a Hothead because Hothead was really good once you have that 25% burn, or you can swap it out for Storm Chaser or your Tapion or even Cataclysmic. But those are the typical setups I use when I run GMs, and this is the setup we're going to be using for the Void 3.0 build. So let me just swap back to my Doom and to my Witherhoard, because this is the ideal setup I rocked on the GM for Lightblade, and it worked well for me, and I hope it will work good for you guys. Now let's jump straight into the mods. Of course, the exotic of choice will be Controverse Hold, and I will talk about how we're going to gain 3 different types of damage resistance. For the first damage resistance, it will be Controverse Hold, and for the second will be Well of Tenacity. So the exotic perk for Controverse Hold will be Chaotic Exchanger, so you're going to resist incoming damage while charging your Vortex Grenade. So every time you're charging a grenade, you're going to get damage resistance, and combine that with Well of Tenacity, Every time you pick up a void elemental well, it's going to reduce the damage you take from combatants for a short period. So those are already 2 types of damage resistance you're going to gain just by using this build. Now for the other mobs we want to use, we're going to be using Bountiful Wells, just so that every time we do spawn an elemental well, it's going to spawn a duplicate elemental well, and that elemental well, you can either pick it up congruent with the elemental well you already picked up. What I mean by that is when you do rock Bountiful Wells and you spawn 2 elemental wells, you can just pick up both of them at the same time to gain back more ability energy, or you can stagger it a little bit. So you pick up one and then you wait a little bit and you pick up the second one, just because you have Well of Tenacity. So every time you do pick up a void elemental well, you will gain damage resistance. You get what I mean? For the third mod we will be using, is going to be Elemental Ordnance, because we are spamming grenades and our grenades weaken targets and grant volatile rounds to our void weapons. So these are really strong grenades that we're throwing out. So we're going to be using Elemental Ordnance to spawn our elemental wells to give us another damage resistance. The third or the fourth elemental mod we will be using will be Seeking Wells, just because in GMs and in higher level content, sometimes you can't really get to those elemental wells because they're across the map, or they're down an alley that you can't really get to because of you have 2 knights rushing you. So you use Seeking Wells in order to get those elemental wells to move across towards you and to give you everything you need, which is Well of Tenacity, to gain that damage resistance. And the last damage resistance, which a lot of people don't know about, will be Striking Light. So the secondary perk of charge of Striking Light that a lot of people don't know about is that you gain damage resistance while sprinting. The reason you can activate this only when you select another arc mod in the second slot beside it. That's how you activate it, okay? So it would not be active if you do not have a arc mod next to it, and it has to be an arc mod. It cannot be a solar mod because Striking Light is arc, so you need arc to match it. Those are the 3 types of damage resistance you will have while running this build. So while you are charging a grenade with Controversial Hold, you will gain damage resistance. When you throw your grenade down and spawn an elemental well and pick it up, that's another damage resistance. And while you're sprinting against targets, that is another damage resistance. Now that is 3 different damage resistance you're going to gain. Plus on top of that, you should be building into 100 resilience. The next thing you're going to gain is every single time you throw your grenade down, it's going to weaken with Echo of Remnants. Oh, Echo of Undermining, excuse me. So every time you do throw your grenades down, you're going to be giving out a debuff with this build. So you have 3 damage resistance, you have a debuff, and when you defeat those targets, you're going to gain a buff to your weapon, to your void weapons, because of Echo of Instability. So everything starts to come together with this build. You charge your grenades up to gain damage resistance, you throw it down, you pick up that elemental well, you're going to be gaining even more damage resistance because of Well of Tenacity. And even when you're just sprinting against targets, you're going to be gaining damage resistance because of Striking Light. That's everything you need for the build. This is the build I've been using to clear GMs, and like I said, the weapon setup for this is with a Horde, a Doom, or a Funnel Web with whatever heavy you need. I'm rocking arc heavy right now just because in the GMs currently you do have a plus 25% arc burn, so we're just rocking arc heavies. You can always swap this out for, let's say, a Cataclysmic. And then another setup I love to use would be Boom and then Boom. The reason we do this is so that you're covering all the champions you need. You're covering Overload with Lay Monarch because Lay Monarch has a perk that gives that it's strong against Overload champions, and you're covering Anti because you're using an auto rifle, which is auto rifles do have anti-barrier this season. So this build is very versatile, or very versatile. However you say the word, this build is very versatile, and you can take this build into very high level games of content and complete it. Well, let me restart. You can take this build into very high level pieces of content and be confident in your ability to complete it. But that's all I have for you guys today. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Anyways, have a good day, and I'll see you guys next week.